I miss talking to my grandbaby because she always call me and say, Grandma, I love you.
It was supposed to be a short visit. 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning in Inkster, Michigan. London Thomas gets dropped off at her ex-boyfriend's house. Her sister drives away, thinking she'll hear from London in a few hours. She never does.
When they came and told us, it was like my heart stopped. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. This is crazy.
According to prosecutors, Thomas was last seen around 4 a.m. on April 5th when she was dropped off at Jalen Pendergrass's house in Inkster. And what happened next would take 3 weeks to uncover. But here's what makes this case different from every other missing person story you've heard. According to court testimony, a mother allegedly told her son to get angry and kill his girlfriend. A witness would later testify that Charla Pendergrass, the suspect's own mother, coached him to commit murder. Welcome to Midnight Crime, and this is the London Thomas case.
There's no manual for this. It's no manual to be a parent. It's no manual to bury your child. It's no manual,
Before we go further, let's talk about who London Thomas was. She was 17 years old, a teenager from Detroit with a butterfly tattoo on her neck. Her mother described her as an outspoken teen with a soft heart, a love for music and hair. She had family who checked on her, friends who expected her to answer her phone, a mother who knew when something was wrong. On April 6, 2025, Thomas's mother reported her missing to the Detroit Police Department when she did not return to her home on Albert Street. Her 18th birthday was coming up on May 10th. She had plans, a future. And on April 5, 2025, all of that came to an end. If London's story is sitting heavy with you right now, leave her name in the comments, say it out loud, type it below. Because the worst thing we can do is let her become just another headline. London Thomas deserves to be remembered as a person, not a statistic. London Thomas had been the girlfriend of Jalen Pendergrass, 23, of Inkster. Notice the past tense, had been. Prosecutors said that Jalen Pendergrass and Thomas had been involved in a relationship, but that it had allegedly ended at the time she arrived at the house in Inkster. The relationship was over, but contact wasn't. Here's what every advocate for relationship violence will tell you. The most dangerous time in an abusive relationship isn't while you're in it. It's when you try to leave. And London had left. She was his ex-girlfriend when she showed up at his house that morning. That matters, because what happened next wasn't about love. It was about losing control. Let me pause here because this is critical. And research on intimate partner violence shows that the period right after a breakup is one of the highest risk times for homicide. Women are significantly more likely to be killed by a former partner than a current one, especially when there's an age gap. London was 17, Jalen Pendergrass was 23, especially when access hasn't been fully cut off, especially when the person who's been left hasn't accepted the reality that it's over. Control doesn't always look violent at first. It looks like, just let me talk to you one more time. Showing up uninvited, using guilt or anger to keep someone tethered. And then, when none of that works, it escalates. This is the pattern, and it's not rare, it's predictable. Thomas's sister Jayla Hatcher testified that she dropped Thomas off at Jalen Pendergrass's home in the early morning hours on April 5th. Don Thomas was last seen alive around 4 a.m. on April 5th as she was being dropped off by her sister at Jalen's home in the 2700 block of Carlisle Street in Inkster. And then, silence. Hatcher became concerned when she couldn't reach Thomas on the phone. This isn't like her. Why isn't she answering her phone? She doesn't let her phone go dead, Hatcher said on the stand. According to testimony from Lania Wilkerson, another ex-girlfriend of Jalen Pendergrass, he later told her what happened that night. She testified that he told her Thomas and his mother got into a physical fight at his home, after which he beat Thomas and tied her up. And then came the most chilling detail. Wilkerson testified that Jalen told her his mother demanded he get angry and kill Thomas. He told me that he pulled her out the bed, he stood her up, grabbed a belt and choked her until she fell, the ex-girlfriend testified. An autopsy by the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office determined Thomas died from asphyxia and that the manner of death was homicide. Strangulation, one of the clearest predictors of lethal violence in domestic cases. London, Thomas didn't disappear. She was hidden. On April 7th, Charla Pendergrass asked a male friend to transport a sealed plastic bin with unknown contents. He received and placed the bin in an SUV on Millard Street in Southfield on April 11th. For weeks, London's body was in that bin, in the trunk of an SUV, parked on a residential street. The friend testified in court that Charla told him to get rid of it, to burn it, but he didn't. He had second thoughts. He got a lawyer and contacted police.
Tonight we are learning more about the tragic discovery of the teen's body.
We've been following the heartbreaking search for the teen. She was last seen April 5th, dropped off at her boyfriend's house in Inkster. Her phone pinged in Westland the very next morning, and she was reported missing 3 days later. Now on April 17th, police raiding the boyfriend's home. Now, nearly 3 weeks later, her body has been discovered in Southfield.
When police arrived, and they found Thomas's body inside the bin, tied up and bruised. It had been several weeks since she was reported missing. Think about what that means. While London's family was searching, while flyers went up, while her mother waited for her daughter to come home, her body was less than 15 miles away. This case shows us something we don't talk about enough. If you've ever seen warning signs in someone's relationship and stayed quiet because it wasn't your business, drop a comment. Because silence protects the wrong people, and awareness saves lives. Don't just scroll past this. Engage with it. Let the algorithm know this matters.
It's a hurting thing to see a kid come up missing and she haven't lived her life. She's 17 years old, and I don't know. Right now I'm just combobulated about it.
The FBI conducted a raid at the Inkster home on Carlisle Street. Inkster Police Chief Tamika Jenkins said Thomas's 23-year-old boyfriend was considered a person of interest. Investigators searched for DNA evidence after receiving concerning information they found during phone extractions. Here's something that stood out in the testimony. Lanija Wilkerson testified that Jalen Pendergrass sent her specific song lyrics from a song by rapper N.B. a Youngboy after Thomas went missing. Lyrics about putting someone in a trunk where their family would never see them again. He sent those lyrics to another girlfriend, while London's family was searching for her. Think about that level of cruelty. Prosecutor Kim Worthy charged Jalen Pendergrass, 23, of Inkster, and Charla Pendergrass, 49, of Clawson, in connection with the homicide of London Thomas. They were initially charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence, but after a preliminary hearing in January 2026, something changed. Judge Sabrina Johnson ordered the charges upgraded to first-degree murder following more than 4 hours of testimony. The judge also approved charges of unlawful imprisonment and evidence tampering. First-degree murder. That means premeditation. That means planning. That means the court found enough evidence to believe this wasn't a spontaneous act of violence. Jalen Pendergrass was remanded to jail. Charla Pendergrass was given a $5 million cash bond. As of late January 2026, both defendants are awaiting trial. Let's be clear about what this case actually shows. First, age gaps in relationships involving minors aren't just about maturity, they're about power. A 23-year-old dating a 17-year-old has fundamentally more control. Second, strangulation is never just violence. It's attempted murder. Studies show that when someone has been strangled by a partner, their risk of being killed increases by 750%. Third, family involvement in violence is real. The testimony in this case alleges that a mother actively participated in the murder of her son's girlfriend. That's not just enabling, that's complicity.
And I had talked to her Friday, and she called me and said, Grandma wanted pizza, and I cashed up her $20. I just want whoever got her to return her or let us know where she at.
And finally, these cases don't come out of nowhere. There are always signs. We just don't take them seriously enough. If this case made you think differently about relationship violence, hit subscribe. Not because I need the numbers, but because the more people who understand these patterns, the more lives we can protect. This channel exists to educate, not entertain, and if that matters to you, subscribe and stick around. London's father, Cedric Salisbury, said the decision to move forward with charges was long overdue and expressed relief that the case is now moving forward. Her grandmother, Justina Martin, said, "I want them to get the maximum penalty they can get for my granddaughter." Thomas's mother, Jasmine Bennett, called the upgraded charges "one small step toward justice for London and our family." One small step. Because nothing brings London back. No verdict, no sentence, no amount of accountability. Her family has to live with this for the rest of their lives.
She loved everyone. And by this turnout, from what you see, her love spread far.
Dozens of London Thomas's family and friends gathered at Claude Allison Park Saturday evening to remember the life of the teenage girl on what would have been her 18th birthday.
You know, we really miss her, we really love her, and we do have a sense of peace and comfort to a certain extent with today, and we just try to make it as happy as possible, as opposed to the tragedy that is set before us. So we're trying to remember the fun and happy time.
As of early 2026, Jalen Pendergrass and Charla Pendergrass are awaiting trial in Wayne County. They face charges of first-degree murder, felony murder, unlawful imprisonment, and evidence tampering. If convicted, they're looking at life sentences. The prosecution says they have DNA evidence, witness testimony, phone records, and statements that connect both defendants directly to London's death. The defense has challenged the credibility of witnesses and maintains their client's innocence. The trial hasn't started yet, but the preliminary hearing made it clear. This case is going forward. Here's what I need you to understand. This case isn't shocking because it's rare. It's shocking because it's so predictable. A young woman tries to leave a relationship with someone older. Contact doesn't stop. Control escalates. And then violence. Every single part of that pattern is documented in research on intimate partner homicide. We act surprised every time it happens, but we shouldn't be, because we keep ignoring the early signs. We keep treating strangulation like it's just assault. We keep dismissing age gaps as not that big of a deal, and people keep dying.
She was supposed to graduate with me. Yeah, and it's just sad that, all her life is taken away from her.
If you made it this far, you care about more than just true crime entertainment. You care about understanding why this happens. So do this. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Not for views, for awareness. Because someone in your life might be in a relationship that's heading down this same path, and maybe this video is what helps them see it. London Thomas should have been able to leave a relationship and go home. That's it. That's the standard. No fear, no violence, no 3-week search ending with her body in the trunk of a car. She was 17 years old. She had a family who loved her, a future ahead of her. And according to prosecutors, that was all taken from her by someone who couldn't handle the fact that she walked away. Say her name. Learn the patterns, watch for the signs, and don't ignore the warnings just because they seem small at first, because they're never small, they're just early. London Thomas, rest in peace.